Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Zach Shaheed, the Dadpreneur, and I am here live with my good friend, Dr. Teresa Harris, and we have some great information that we want to share with you all tonight on this broadcast. So make sure that you share this broadcast out. Tag some friends. She's going to drop some jewels on you all tonight. Okay, so first of all, let me make sure if you all can hear me clearly. Just comment yes in the comment stream so I know before we jump into the content that you all can hear me. I think we're good on Facebook from my end. So drop me some yeses in the comment stream. Let me know you all can hear. Let us know where you are chiming in from. Of course, we are both in Columbus, Georgia. If you don't know what Columbus, Georgia is, it's about an hour and 50 minutes from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. And again, we have a very serious topic to talk about tonight. Is about this whole COVID situation that's going on. Me and Dr. Teresa are very passionate about getting this COVID thing knocked out. Okay, we have a lot of friends that lost their lives to COVID. My wife last year personally had COVID back in March, and I could tell you, watching her go through it, I mean, hey, it was crazy. Okay, it was hard to watch somebody go through that you love. So ever since I saw my wife go through it, I had a lot of friends pass away from it. I said, hey, we got to find something that we can do to help our people out so we can, beat this virus. So I'm gonna let Dr. Teresa come on, introduce herself, let her tell you all about her background and why she is so passionate about COVID and kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. So Dr. Teresa, come on up.
Hey, thank you, Zach, for having me. And thank you for just being responsive to when I said, I think this was a conversation that we needed to have. And as I said before, a few minutes ago, speaking with you, that last week was probably one of my hardest weeks when it comes to this disease and the treatment or the lack of treatment with this. And I remember saying, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week, I said, if one more person die, or if I hear one more person with COVID, I just think I'm going to lose it. And then, of course, the weekend happened. And what happened was a slurry of people that I indirectly knew or knew either died or got COVID. And I think the hardest pill for me to swallow last week is someone that is so close to me, and the entire family is not doing well, and they have 4 children. And so I've dealt with this disease, but I have not honestly dealt with it with maybe one, and I personally really didn't deal with them as far as being a caregiver for someone that's small, but to have 4 of my babies with it, and the mother and the father, definitely got the bad end of this. And when you're dealing with this disease, it's already hard to deal with it as a caregiver, or deciding whether or not you're going to shelter in place with this person. Decisions have to be made. And I think what happens is no one has a COVID plan. And we need to create or build some kind of COVID plan. If you, honey, gonna get it, or if I'm gonna get it, or the kids are gonna get it. We have not, or even been told, maybe we need to create some kind of care plan. And so for that reason, and as I'm saying this, I wouldn't even say that I have mine written out, but I have an established protocol for me and my family. And but that's for me. I'm kind of a planner, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But I think in 2021, at this point, just because of the variations in the new variants of this disease, I think we have to have some kind of COVID care plan in place. Whether or not you decide you're going to stay in with your partner or your husband or your wife or your children or whatever, like, I think the average person is thinking, hey, you know what? This is my husband. This is my wife. I'm not going anywhere. Back when last year when my husband had it, it wasn't even a thought in place. I knew I wasn't going to leave him you know.
Mm-hmm.
So but what happens with that is that you expose yourself, and invariably, you know, I had COVID too. The biggest thing for me, or the take home message for me, is that I had some kind of plan. And
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, and because of all the things that I had been doing, I had a very, very mild case of it, as opposed to him. And so tonight's impetus for saying let's talk is to kind of go over some of the things that we should do. And one of the things that we should do is have a COVID care plan. You can tailor that plan to your family's need, but at minimum, you need to know, okay, are we going to isolate to the bedroom? Are we going to isolate to the kitchen? We're going to isolate to the living room. But there needs to be one designated room in the home that someone says, okay, this is where we're going to banish you to. And for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reasons, this is where you need to stay. And I don't think people understand it, because what they have said to me is, "Oh, I've isolated in my bedroom." And I said, "Well, did you ever go out to use the bathroom?" "Well, of course." So I said, "Well, this is shared bathroom or not?" "Yeah, but I clean." "No, you can't do that." Or did you ever wake up in the middle of the night, go to the refrigerator, get something to drink or get something? Yeah, I made sure, you know, everybody was asleep or whatever. And so I didn't do that. Well, that's a no-no now. Well, you know, 8 months ago, we didn't know this. We are armed with a lot more information now than we had just 8 months ago. So we know now that someone inside the home puts us at great risk, because what we're doing now, because we know that this is a respiratory virus, what we are now doing is rebreathing what
Mm.
the person in the room, I'm sorry, the person in the home has, and that is COVID. And so if we haven't employed measures to purify the air, clean the air, if we don't have windows open, and right now it's the winter time, so it's not practical for us to have windows open. And so for that reason, you're going to be at greater risk. And because most of us don't have purifiers in the home, that air that we're breathing with the person that is actually in the home that's sick, we are basically just setting ourselves up for fail. So what was bothering me going into the holidays was that I was seeing greater cases of people who was getting the virus because they were either a caregiver or they were in the home with the person, or they, you know, sometimes they didn't know. By the time the
Mm-hmm.
person had the symptoms of the virus, you know, a few days later, they were, you know, COVID positive. And so, you know, whether you have the argument, whether or not it's a great thing to wear a mask or whatever like that, it doesn't even matter what you think. The science
Right.
proves that, you know, that wearing masks does help. And so that's not even a debatable point, or it shouldn't be a debatable point at this junction. And so what are we to do? Put that person in isolation. And isolation means exactly what it says, isolation. This means now you're going to go in this room, other than, you know, going to the bathroom if there's not a ensuite. You're going to say, this bathroom is now yours. This room is now yours. If you need to eat, drink, or anything like that, then that will be administered or given to you by me. And
Mm-hmm.
then what you need to do is, when you are retrieving said utensils and cups and stuff like that, you need to be masked, you need to be gloved, and I'll go even further at this point. You need to have an isolation gown or something like that. And most people think, okay, well, I don't have to get that, you know, that's medical. Well, guess what? You can go on Amazon now. You can purchase a lot of these PPEs and get that. And it is that serious, because it doesn't take much when you are already in the home where you are rebreathing COVID-19. And so
Mm-hmm.
just think about it in terms of, I remember just saying, kind of offhanded, a few months ago, you know, take the filters out and spray the filters. Well, that is dramatically changed. Now I'm like, you must have a HEPA filter. You can't go and get those, I don't know, $2 or $3 filters that you get and you replace. You have to get a true HEPA filter. And the reason why you have to get a true HEPA filter for the HVAC system that you have in the home is because of the particle size of this disease. The particle size of this disease is less than 0.03. And if you have a true HEPA filter, it literally filters 99.9% of pathogens such as viruses, protozoa, viruses, fungus, bacteria. And so it is a necessary step at this junction in order to protect you and protect those in the home. And because we now know that this disease is no longer just a friend to those that are over the age of 65, we now see a growing number of people who contract this virus now under the age of 50. And not only just contracting this virus now, it is the highest age group now where we're seeing the deaths. And so that bothers me when now we're seeing people 40, 30, and 40 years old dying with COVID, when this was something that our bodies were actually fighting. So it's showing you the evolution of this virus. And if we don't understand that, all we need to do is just look at our neighbors to the north in the UK and see the widespread masses of people who are not only just COVID positive, but COVID positive and very, very sick. And then now we're also seeing the variant. And one of the things that I wanted to explain is because what people were thinking is that when we have a variant in a disease, we thought, okay, well, maybe someone from the UK came into the United States, which is highly possible, and infected someone else. But that's not how mutations work. All that means is that it was just transmitted. But when something happens, what we call spontaneously or organically, which we have in viruses and stuff like that, those happen organically. So a variation in this virus can happen in Germany. It can happen in Florida. It can happen in Washington. It can happen in West Virginia. It can happen in Texas. And so it doesn't have to come from the UK when there's a mutation. And that's the natural evolution of the disease process. But we have a government, which still doesn't make sense to me, that we know that we have a variation of this process that is highly contagious. It is actually 70% more contagious than what we have of the novel COVID-19 that we dealt with all of 2020. And so for that reason, why did we not do it? Every other country banned travel from the UK and began banning travel from South Africa. But there has not been any ban. If we know the number of flights that come from the UK into New York City, into Atlanta, it's just crazy. I think California was the only state that actually said, we're going to stop this. It's a mystery to me because we have laws that protect us, or was actually created to protect us, saying that, if someone came into our country with a known disease, that we would not let them in. And so the screening for this virus is not a screening. You can come through the airport now without being checked. And so people say, well, okay, well, we can check your temperature. Well, now with the evolution of this disease, the average person is not having a high temperature anymore. And so we're having people that are appearing, for the first 2 weeks, totally asymptomatic. And then having, something, maybe a shortness of breath or sore or scratchy throat. And so because we are now in what we call the cold and flu season, so a lot of people are associating this with the cold and flu. But I want you to think about it, Zach. Have you heard anybody with the flu? We
No,
are in the
that's
middle. Yeah, we are in the middle of flu season, but there's
right.
no
Haven't
flu.
heard of it. Exactly.
No. And so the flu just didn't miraculously go away. But
Hmm.
when I tell you, it is not just my experience, it is my total understanding of how our government um, allows things to happen, and the natural progression of things that happen to us health wise, especially, in communities that look like us, that allow certain things to happen and certain things to thrive. There's no, you don't have to have a medical degree at this point to understand that this virus, in all probability, I'll just say it because at this point I don't care. It was manufactured. There's no way we can have something like this that is wreaked havoc, and is in the millions of people that have contracted this virus, and we are still in the throes of it right now. And as of yesterday's reporting, it's projected that 500 million people will be dead by May. And so
Wow.
if we begin to take that number and multiply that by the new variants that are coming out, listen, on Christmas morning, I woke up to a communication that we had to be on. Thankfully, I am still in an elusive. No, I shouldn't say elusive. I am still in the know with things that come out with the World Health Organization. As a clinical research scientist who does clinical research, we are privy to what goes in clinical trials across the country. And so we have these things that we call SUSARs. And the SUSARs are what allows us to know what is going on in other countries and in other states about diseases, or in this case, potential diseases. What scares me now is that everything that was told to us on Christmas morning was information that was dated September the 21st. We heard about the new variants and the new mutations. And let me just clarify, when we talk about mutations, we're talking about deadly mutations, because this virus has already mutated many times over. In fact, I think back in November, we had about 12,000 different strands of COVID. And they were just minor mutations. But when we have what we call a mutation that is a true anomaly, like these variants, then it's bad, because now we're seeing it expressing itself as being more contagious. And so when I got the information, when we were in this consortium and learning all this information, the first thing that bothered me was that this particular mutation that we're dealing with now was sequenced on September the 21st. We got this information a week before Christmas. So that's September. We're just getting the information in December.
Right.
And so there was nothing, to alert us to prepare for this, and just the lack of transparency that we have. And so if this continues, what happens with the next mutation? What happens with the next disease? And I've long said, and I think many of you guys know, I said that this is a wake up. This is the warning. This is what's to come. Our normal will never be normal again. Because what they're not telling you, if it is a true coronavirus, and I have to preface that because sometimes I'm not exactly sure. I've never seen the virus under microscope, but I know that that's what we're told. But I know that this is not acting like a coronavirus. But if it is, what we're not being told is that it's just like a cold. you're going to be more susceptible to a cold if you put yourself in an environment where you can get a cold. So if it is a true coronavirus, guess what? We're going to have coronavirus 19, coronavirus 20, coronavirus
Right.
20, coronavirus 22, coronavirus 23. And so where the masses are running to get this vaccine because, we're scared that this disease will kill us. But when you do look at the numbers, I don't want to minimize the numbers because 500, right now we're at 400,000 people who have died in the United States. And I don't want to minimize that because that's somebody that
Exactly.
But if we're there and those numbers are going to grow, it's not like it's going away, then we have to be concerned because if our government or whoever decided this, that this was going to happen, whether or not this is something that went terribly wrong, I personally think that this probably was a biological chemical warfare weapon that may have gone wrong. And now we're dealing with, the repercussions of that. But what really concerns me is that in the grand scheme of things with this virus, there are so many things that we know that actually work. And so to be on the phone Christmas morning, finding out all of this, what I would call intel about this and all the information that we were given as doctors and scientists, and still, a lot of that information is still not readily available, when we have the reason why I am so big right now on vitamin C and vitamin D is all the information that's out, all the clinical trials now out with vitamin D. And so that's something we can go to the drugstore and get. That's something, that is not expensive to get. When we created these vaccines and stuff like that, there were hundreds of millions, if not billions, that these pharmaceutical companies got from the government. So the reason why, you're getting these vaccines and they're free, they've been paid for. I mean, many times over. So it's not like your novel, flu vaccine. So, it's so scary because I think we've entered an age where big pharma and government is one and the same. And I've said that for so long that, our country is not really run by the president. It's really run by the drug companies. And what should be a conflict of interest is people, for example, when you start seeing, the head of the FDA, who's now on the board, or the president of Pfizer, or the president of AstraZeneca, those are conflicts of interest. When you begin to see the lobbying in the interest groups, that get drugs approved, that, we as doctors who are actually, on the front lines doing the work, doing the clinical research, and you're like, okay, this drug is bad, this drug is not doing well. And here's the big thing. There are that's being underreported right now with the new Pfizer vaccine. There are 23 deaths that just occurred right after the airlines took it. And so this is being hushed. This is information that we are, but you can research it now because, nothing ever really stays a secret anymore. People are telling it. And so now we're looking at, death by vaccine. And so I just want people to be informed when it comes to vaccines. And, another thing that I wanted to touch on, people are always going to ask me, hey, what do you think about the vaccine? Or should I take the vaccine? Here's my thing on that. You have to make an informed decision. And you got to think in long terms of whether you believe this works or not. And so here's my thing. You have 6 companies right now, there's 26 companies right now that has a vaccine that has reported to be 95% effective. One with an RNA vaccine, a DNA vaccine. No, I'm sorry. I think there's 3 with messenger RNA vaccines. But what are the chances of 6 different pharmaceutical companies having a cure? Because 95% is a cure. That's not a treatment.
Right.
95% effective efficacy and safety, according to them, at the same time. What are the chances of them doing that unless they had information prior to? Vaccines just don't come like that. We have to synthesize. In order to get the messenger RNA, we have to have DNA, and the DNA has to synthesize to RNA, and then RNA synthesized to proteins, and then you're going from a double strand to a single strand molecule. So there's so much science and chemistry in that. And so when people ask me, should I take the vaccine? The reason why I think the vaccine works, to be honest with you, is because I think they created the virus.
Right.
And so you cannot have 95% efficacy unless you've known a whole lot about this virus. And we just have not had enough time to deal with this virus, because what we don't understand is virus is constantly replicating. It's constantly duplicating itself because its desire is to take over. It's not a living organism. It only lives if it has a host. So the host is the living person. And so if I had a mom that was older, very frail, sickly, I wouldn't even say 65, because 65 is young now, but 75, and diabetes and hypertension, I would say, yeah. But for me, and please do not take anything that I'm saying. Talk to your doctor, please. I implore you, talk to your doctor. But as for me in my house, we're not. Because if they created this virus and they created this vaccine, when you understand what your DNA is the genetic material that you inherit from your mom and your dad. Messenger RNA is coded information that can be influenced, and it's transient. So when we have messenger RNA or we have proteins with that, those are transient. They come and they go. They don't stay there. We are giving our government license, authority to go in and inject something into not our genetic code, but into our cells that sends signals and coded messages. My thing is, I want to know what those coded messages are, because people are getting this vaccine, or we're excited about this vaccine. But what if our government injected some coded messages for us to grow cancer, or to grow horns, or to grow a third leg, or splice, a lot of information that makes a male a male, a female a male. So these are things that are not considered, and these are things that are not discussed, that we have to understand that if we don't play doctor for ourselves and to ourselves, then we're going to be in a bind. We're going to be in a pickle. And so I'm just really, really excited that we live in an age where we can say no. We live in an age where we can say, you know what, let me wait this. And here's another thing that I tell everybody. You know what, if you're unsure about this and all the masses are getting vaccinated, there's your herd immunity. So I'm like, I'm just gonna let everybody else get it. If they get the vaccine, it automatically gives me herd immunity, because if this works at 95%, guess what? We are not shedding this virus. We are not sharing this virus because we are getting herd immunity, because all of y'all went out and got this virus. I just don't find out 2 years from now, that Zach, you got this virus, and Zach, you was a human, and now you are an unidentified animal, So it seems very, conspiracy theorists, when you talk about, people have to understand that when you are not the innermost sanctums of your body, you are dealing with cell manipulation, any kind of messenger and DNA manipulation, getting into some God stuff. And we know that God is the only creator. And so if you have it where men are doing it, there's so much with artificial intelligence and stuff like that now, that I just have to urge everyone that think twice. It's not that hard to get some vitamin D. It's not that hard to get some vitamin C. Why are they pushing all of these other things when we have clinical evidence, when we have clinical proof? So we're not even talking about vitamins that we don't have proof on. We're not talking about something new. We're talking about something that is evidence-based. And when we saw the information about 4 trials that they're doing right now with vitamin D and vitamin C, I couldn't argue with that. I couldn't argue with the science that if we wanted to eradicate this disease or protect ourselves, it simply meant, okay, wearing a mask, boosting our immune system by taking high doses of vitamin C. Okay, for me, high doses of vitamin C is elderberry. Elderberry is flooded with vitamin C. So now we know vitamin D. Well, the good thing about vitamin C is that, unlike a lot of the other vitamins, your body readily absorbs it. So even if you get it in a pill form, it's not bad. But if you are in crisis, you need to get an IV push. You need that vitamin C intramuscular, or you need an IV. And so that's the only reason why I changed my entire model in November. I knew going into January that I wanted to exclusively work with people in the things that I knew that worked, and the science that worked. And what we knew going into, what I knew going into November is that if someone just did these basic things, it would pretty much give them a good head start against either never getting this disease at all, or building up an immunity that if they were exposed to it, that they would be almost symptomatic free. Because I've seen that, that I knew that the 3 things that we needed to do is that we needed to increase the immune system. And I know that the 2 things that increased the immune system was vitamin C and vitamin D. And that if we can get it in our food source, that's great. But because our food source has changed so much, and because we nuke all of our vitamins out, or we cook our vitamins out, I knew that I had to do something drastically. And because a lot of people are having so drastic symptoms with shortness of breath, and this new variant is so deadly with being a respiratory infection, I knew that we needed something beyond pills. I knew that we needed to probably go in and start doing some stuff directly into the vein so that the body utilizes it quickly. And then I also knew that we needed to keep the airways clear or clean. And I knew that and learned that what we thought was sanitizing and disinfecting wasn't truly sanitizing and disinfecting. And that it needed to be done systematically. It needed to be done electrostatically. And so what we learned is that if we use the Lysol and we, disinfect hard surfaces, that we were good. Well, the thing is, this virus is respiratory droplets now. So that's not good anymore. So you literally need to have these team come in and sanitize your house, because you're not getting the soft surfaces with Lysol. You're getting the hard surfaces. And so you're not getting your curtains. You're not getting everywhere that those droplets, attaches itself to. But when you go in electrostatically, those chemicals actually bind to proteins, and that's what the virus is. So it sits right on top of that protein, whether it's in the air, and it's almost like what we call a macrophage, which actually goes in and just eats it up. That's exactly what those chemicals do. And you can get biological chemicals and natural chemicals. So it doesn't have to be, we got it, we're putting in these, we're trying to help you heal, but then we're putting all these dangerous chemicals in there. No, it's not like that. There's some wonderful natural chemicals that will bind to this virus and actually kill it and snuff it out. And so I'm sorry, I know I'll just keep on talking. Do you have anything that you want to add or you want to say to
you was dropping a lot of nuggets, and I hope they're really listening. And if y'all have any questions, drop them below. If y'all watching a replay, you will definitely go back and re-engage any replay viewers as well. But I can tell you, just from my experience with my wife having it back in last year in March, Dr. Teresa is correct. Like, you got to have a COVID plan. So one thing, my wife and I did, we're blessed to have my in-laws here. So our son stayed at my in-laws' house for a whole month when my wife had, COVID. And I was on the other side of the house. And just like she said, I would, if I had to go like take my wife some food or something to drink, I had the mask on, my gloves on, I would go in and out. So I'm dropping it off. I'm like, hey, you good? I'm heading right back out, I go, I wash my hands and make sure I sanitize. And even just like coming home from if you're coming home from work or coming from the gym, whatever you're doing, like one thing that I have not stopped doing since last year, as soon as I come into the house, I take all my clothes off when I come to my house, the laundry room is like right there. So I take all my clothes off, boom, I Lysol them all down, throw them in the washing machine, then I go straight to the shower. And like my boys will tell you, if daddy comes into the house and I've been somewhere, they can't touch me until I've Lysol everything down, been in the shower, and now I can hug and kiss my boys, right? So I'm just like super cautious. So having a COVID plan is very important. And like she also said, boosting your immune system, right? I've been saying for years anyway that the earth is meant to heal us. There's natural things out there that's meant to heal us anyway. So vitamin C, vitamin D, like she said. I mean, I do extra now. Okay, it might be overkill to some people, but I can tell you, since my wife had it, I'm just doubling up on all of my vitamins, like she said, the elderberry, the sea moss, vitamin C. I'm doubling up on all of them, and my boys take it every single day too. Because one thing that was scary for me is like, having them go back to school and being around the other children and not knowing where those children parents have been, who they've been around. So I'm like, listen, I gotta boost my boys' immune system. So every single day, my boys will tell you before they go to school, they take all their vitamin C, vitamin D, elderberry. They take it before they go to school. When they come home, they gotta take it again. If I hear a sniffle, okay, any sniffles, any cough, they're gonna take it 3 times a day. Okay, so it's just I gotta be overly cautious, and I think everyone needs to be that way for now, because like Dr. Teresa said, this virus, it seems like, hey, it's going to be around, for who knows when. So the only real thing you can do is keep your immune system boosted and just be extra cautious. And I think, sometimes in our country, we're so free that, we've like, listen, guy, I get it. Nobody likes wearing the mask. Okay. Nobody likes wearing the mask. It's annoying, but hey, it's a precaution. Okay. Nobody likes the social distance. We all have to hug each other. We're social people, right? But for right now, until we get this thing under control, we got to be extra cautious. And I think, everyone needs to be that way for now, because like I said, everyone needs to be that way for now. So I think we really just have to be extra cautious. And I'm not telling anybody to not live your life. You know, you got to live your life, but be safe. Okay. We know this thing is out there. Just be safe. Okay. Thoroughly wash your hands all the time. Like she said, just disinfect everything, boost your immune system. That's the one thing I can tell you, because all of my family asked me, well, if Crystal had it, how come you ain't catch it? You was in the house with her. And I said, hey, you know, I give, you know, glory to God on that, first of all. Secondly, I boost my immune system.
You boost your immune system. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. You have to create an environment in which when that virus comes to you, is like, oh, okay, sorry, I can't mess with him. You know, this virus knows to mess with the vulnerable populations. And so it's almost like a little monster. And so, you know, when you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, you know, most people would think, okay, well, what he's doing is extreme, you know, but here's the flip side of that. It's a dad in the hospital outside. Now, I'm sorry, it's a dad outside the hospital while your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, your 7-year-old is fighting for their life because the hospital has closed visitation out. What bothers me with this disease, so many of these people have died alone by themselves. So it's already bad enough to be suffering. And what people don't understand, the vast majority of these people are drowning in their own body without the event of having water. Having extreme shortness of breath, it's literally like drowning and you're not in water. And so the whole labor of trying to gasp for a breath, you know, it's traumatic. And when you begin to see this every day, day in and day out, yeah, I probably am a little bit extreme, you know. I am probably I'm a lot angry because I posted something and it was actually me. And I had the F, I put F because I was just that mad. Because I was like, there are certain people who don't have a choice. You know, they have illnesses and that makes them vulnerable. But when someone dies where it was senseless or it was preventable, that bothers me because that hurts, because you've just, you know, left, you know, a wife, or you just left a husband with some children, and it's all because you decided, okay, I want to go out and hang out and, you know, do this. And I'm not by all means telling everybody they have to stay in the house. There are situations where you don't have to wear a mask. If everybody in your house on January 1 had coronavirus and you guys are coronavirus free on January 10th or the 15th, for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, guess what? Nobody got to wear a mask in the house. You're not going to get reinfected. Now, I'm saying in the house. You still don't go out and do that. But there are times, you know, where, you know, even in the office, if I'm in the back by myself, I'll take my mask off because my office back there is about 20 feet by something, I don't know. But I'm in there by myself. And so if the door is closed, my mask is off. But if I'm interacting with my staff, then I have it. And I'm not worried because I've done the antibody testing. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've done the antibody testing. And I still have neutralizing antibodies. And so for me, that's a good thing. Now, the thing is, I don't know how many I do, but it means that I do have some immunity to this virus. So I'm not as scared. So people say, well, you're seeing patients now. You're seeing, you know, you're around it. Well, you know what? I know I'm called for this. I didn't know it before, but I know that I'm called for this. And I said to myself, okay, if I get it, I'm not going to even test myself for it. But I knew in July when my husband had it, in 4 or 5 days, I was symptomatic. You know, I had a very low grade fever. My throat was a little scratchy, felt some heaviness in my chest, but I have so much elderberry and ginger juice and
Mm-hmm.
supplements or whatever like that. It was almost like my body was saying, okay, do whatever you want to do, but we're ready for you. And so when I say the mildest case, I kept saying, I need to find out, I need to find out, but I didn't want to do it. So when I started testing, and what I love is I got one of the most newest tests, and it tests both the antigen and the antibody at the same time. And I have my results in less than an hour. And so when I tested myself and saw that I had neutralizing antibodies, which we measure through what we call IgG and IgM. And so to see that I had neutralizing antibodies, that let me know that I had been exposed and that I had probably had it. And so I knew when I had it. And the relief was now, these people that are coming in now, you know, I felt a little bit better, because what we're seeing is the rate of reinfection is low, but we need to talk about that too. You're not scot-free if you have this disease. So they're looking, the numbers are right around five months for people who have been reinfected with coronavirus. So people are saying, well, how long does the immunity last? Well, right now it's looking like 5 months. The thing is, we don't know that with these vaccines. So you may take the vaccine today, which is January the 19th, and this immunity kicks in about, 10 days. So we're looking at January 29th. But if you are vaccinated, we don't know how long it gives you immunity. You may have this vaccine the end of January, and then you may have the disease, the virus, in March. And here's another thing people need to know, that this particular vaccine, no, all the vaccines right now, if you take them, it does not mean you won't get the disease. We take the flu shot every year, and people still. So I don't want people to think, and this is what was scaring me, is that people automatically were thinking, okay, I got to get this shot. I had so many people. Do you have, connections to get the shot? Can we get the shot? Here's the thing. We were promised how many millions of shot? 100 million? No, 400 million? We're not even at 100 million. And so this is why we have to be careful, because we just learned, which we already knew, we just learned that there's not enough. We didn't buy enough. And even if we did buy enough, there was not enough made. Not only that, our president kicked some butt with, well, I shouldn't say kick some butt, kick some people off. So we didn't get the numbers that other countries got, when it came to this virus, because he was so busy calling it the China virus. And he was so busy saying that we didn't have a virus. So even if our country gets to a place where we've ramped up vaccines and the vaccines are effective, we're not going to see any kind of immunity widespread if I look at it in terms of Biden being inaugurated tomorrow and saying, okay, we're going to get these, we're going to do 100 million. We don't even have the production of getting the 100 million in 100 days. So if we are looking at the next 100 days without a vaccine or without a cure, where do you think we're going to be next month? Sicker, more deaths. For this virus, our peak is going to be February the 1st. So the first 2 weeks in February, we're looking at seeing record numbers again. And then there should be some tapering off as we are, getting either more vaccinated or whatever, or we get in a different mutation, And here's another thing. We're getting these vaccines, but we're getting new mutations. These vaccines may or may not cover the new mutation. We know that they don't cover it in the flu. That's the reason why we have to get a flu vaccine. And the flu vaccine only lasts about 5 to 6 months. And what most people don't know is that last year, the flu vaccine was only 58% effective.
Mm.
So these are things that we have to know. And these are things that, you're not supposed to know because this is not the field you're in, but it should be known or made known to us for the people that are in the know. They should be telling us this. They should be giving us this information so that we can make an informed decision.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm glad I'm connected to you, because I get to learn some stuff. I'm telling you. So,
Well,
yeah, guys.
It's something that I am glad to know, because all I could think about is if I wasn't in the field that I'm in, and I didn't have the position that I have nationally, because I have worked with some of the major diseases such as Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, and neuromyelitis. It just put me in a position where I thank God that I've been a Joseph. I've been somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, and so that I can protect my family. What hurts me is other people not doing this, other people not sharing this. I know after we got on, I know there was several thousands that got this information across the world on Christmas, but very few are sharing it. I'm sure they're sharing it with their family and stuff like that. So we know it's coming down the pipeline. They're just not telling you. And so there's only so much that we can share without fear of some kind of repercussion. But I'm telling everybody, you better gird up. You have to gird up. Without being able to say a lot of the things that I'm saying, if I'm out there telling you to do it, you better be doing it. You ain't got to do it with me. You ain't got to do it with anybody I know. You just need to do it. You just need to do it. But I didn't want to stay on and keep everybody, but I did want to share with people, just some things that they needed to do if they decided that they were going to stay. And so one of the things that I said before is they need to optimize their immune system by dosing up with vitamins that we know that do that. Two, there is a couple of medications that we don't even use here in the United States that has been absolutely effective. And one of them is a drug called ivermectin, and you may have heard that in the news. And it is shown promising. No, it is beyond promising in what that drug does. It's actually antiviral, but it was used for skin diseases. It's antiviral, but it is absolutely amazing. It is like 99.8% effective at reducing viral RNA. So that's great. There is a plant that if you guys do a Google search, the Prime Minister of Congo is selling it. And I got a friend that called me, I think in November, and she lives in Cote d'Ivoire, Africa. And she had gotten COVID really bad. And I think about 2 weeks in, they had called her husband and basically allowed him to come in to say goodbye. She was not expected to live. And about 2 weeks later, thankfully she had not died, but I guess from the village to where the hospital is a couple of hours. So throughout the village, they were giving out this tonic, and people that had COVID was getting better like in 24 hours, 48 hours. And she kept giving me the name of it, but she was giving me the name of it in her native language, which I didn't know. And so I kept just pressing her. And she had said, she said, well, let me get somebody to translate or what it is. And in the United States, we know it as wormwood. And when they told me it was Artemisia, and what was weird is I had just gotten information the month before about Artemisia, but I got it for lowering diabetes.
Mm.
And lowering blood sugars for diabetes. And I had just started using it for about a month. And it's the most bitterest herb I've ever had.
It's bitter. It is.
It's nasty. But I tell you what, I know I have been exposed, and I know it's been greater than 7 months. So I might still obviously have neutralizing antibodies, but I'm not crazy. Those neutralizing antibodies are very, very small now. So I know that I'm at risk for getting reinfected if I don't protect myself. Long story short, I started looking to see if I can find anything on like the strength and the dosage. Started finding all of these articles all over Europe treating COVID with Artemisia. I was like, okay, let me try this. So I went back in my lab and I started, add this. And what I did was I got everything known to my knowledge that will boost your immune system. And I put it all in one bottle and I called it the COVID cocktail. And I just said, we're going to throw everything at it. And sure enough, I've had, we've been doing this now, not quite a month. When I tell you there are people that have had COVID, had pretty bad cases of it, if they were not better in 48 to 72 hours, then I'm lying. And just recently, what I started doing is those who tested positive after taking the COVID cocktail, 3 to 5 days, testing them again and seeing if they had started not only getting neutralizing antibodies, which means their body is fighting it, but a lot of them had started testing negative in just a matter of days. And so, am I saying that this is the cure? No, but I'm saying it worked. But I also say, ivermectin worked. I also say, there's some protocols. And here's what a lot of people don't know. Here's another thing a lot of these teaching hospitals now have a COVID protocol. And that protocol is usually steroids, high doses of vitamin C, high doses of vitamin D, zinc, and selenium. There is your ginger. You can go to Publix. You ain't got to come to me. You can go to Publix, buy some ginger, and cook it yourself. Do you want the ginger choose the candy? No. You want to get you some nice concentrated ginger. I just happen to throw everything in my ginger juice. The same thing with elderberry. I've told you how to do it. I've showed you how to do it. You ain't got to even come to me. Go buy it yourself. Make your own elderberry juice. Your body will readily assimilate it. Don't get orange juice. Orange juice 1 is fortified, which means they've stripped out all the stuff and tried to add some stuff back in. If you want some vitamin C, get something that has a lot of vitamin C beyond the orange. That's elderberry and other plants and stuff like that. So to answer the question, I was saying, what do we do or what do we need to optimize our body for this is optimizing it with vitamins. This is the first time we've had a disease or a virus that responds to what God gave us in nature. And I think that's amazing. At this point, God is answering us with healing of the land. 2, I wanted to talk about whether or not you should take the vaccine. As I said before, it has to be make an informed decision. I would look at all of my medical history. If I'm at a high risk, I'll take it. Well, I'm sorry. I am at high risk. I have 3 of the high risk factors and I'm not taking it. But do I think this vaccine works? I actually think they do. I don't have any proof that they do, but I think they do because I think the virus itself was manipulated for the treatment of that. So I hope that helps. That may help you take it. It may help you not take it. And then, we talked about the different kind of mutations of this virus, and we're going to see more and more mutations. When we were told on Christmas, there was only two variants that was mentioned, but we had already known about four that we were told about. So, and the people that I told, I had a meeting with about 15 people 2 days after Christmas. And these are some leaders and pastors and stuff that I wanted them to be able to share their information with their congregation. But I told them, and I said, this information will be out in the next couple of days. And sure enough, within like 2 or 3 days, all the information that I had told them was coming out. And they were just like, everybody was texting me like, oh my God, you were right. And I was like, I wouldn't do this, to play games with you.
Exactly.
And then finally, I want us to look at the death rate. The death rate is going up. It looks very small when you look at in terms of the world population. It doesn't sound like a lot. You got people saying it's only killing less than 0.5%. Well, when you're looking at the grand scheme of billions of people in the entire world, and you're looking at 500,000, or you're looking at 500 million, that does seem small. If you got several billion people, you got billions in China. So that just give you an idea how large we are. But where we have to start paying attention is those who are under the age of, they're saying 50, I'm saying the age of 40. Start looking at some of your symptoms and now taking them seriously. In the beginning, if it's just a small minor cough, treat it like a major cough. I tell everybody, like you got pneumonia. When people coming in, well, I don't know if I have COVID. Let's just agree you have COVID and let's just treat it as such. Because you don't want a person that says, case in point is a young lady that says, she was like, oh, mine is just sinus. And I said, well, do your sinus usually act like this? She said, well, yeah, I usually have a runny nose. I said, but you complained of a scratchy throat and just some minor heaviness in the chest. That's usually not indicative of sinus. And I said, that's perfect signs of COVID. And, she walked out and she was like, no, I ain't got that. And sure enough, 1 week later, called and was like, I need you to do whatever. And so now it's, an emergency. And we were like, oh, we could have knocked this out a week ago. And I'll tell everybody the same. I said, this is what you should do. You don't have to do it with me. I'm just telling you, this is what you need to do. And so my posture has always been the same. Just treat. This is something at this point, we know that it's terminal or can be terminal. Throw everything at it. What is going to hurt you to buy, go to the store and get you some vitamin C pills or some vitamin D pills or a multivitamin? What is it going to hurt you to go to Publix and buy you some ginger? So it's not going to hurt you to do any of that. So what is going to cost you a couple of dollars, a little bit more to get a true HEPA filter in your home. It's going to cost you maybe a little bit more money to get your house sanitized. But what bothers me, we got all of these businesses that are not paying attention because you have a number or numerous amount of employees and they are not getting some kind of professional cleaning. No, I'm sorry, not cleaning, because that's the wrong word. Professional disinfecting. And we're not doing that. And so, and I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to that with my recent training, because I just had no idea the rate of transmission was so bad, just the respiratory droplets. So, but that's all I had, and that's what I wanted to share.
Hey, thank you for sharing. And again, I hope you all, you listen. You're really taking this to heart, because it's serious, guys. It's serious. I really want you to take care of your health. And like you said, this is the first virus that we know of where, hey, the earth Okay, the natural stuff, it can heal you. And I know I talk to my friends just like Dr. Teresa saying, I always say, you don't have to get it from me, but you better get it from somewhere, okay? Because
Yeah,
I mean, get it from somewhere. But I will tell you, if you are in Columbus, Georgia, get with Dr. Teresa. I mean, she has a lot of different programs that she can do a consultation with you, kind of figure out what you need, and get you all the products that you need. Because I will tell you this, from using her products, okay, my goddaughter had COVID in November. I had another family member, they don't want me to say their name, okay, but another family member that had it, 2 months prior to my goddaughter having it. And every time somebody in my family tells me they have COVID, I send them Dr. Teresa's products, okay? And within a couple of days later, they come and say they feel great, okay? When they go back and retest, they're negative. So I say now it's all about maintenance, okay? You got to take this don't stop just because you feel like COVID went away. Take it every single day. So like, even when she made her new COVID cocktail, I got some just because I know in my profession, I'm around people all the time. Okay, so I'm all about prevention. So I'm chugging this thing down. and like she said, the new ingredient she added to it doesn't taste the best. But I say, you know what? I don't care how it tastes. I just need to make sure that Zach is healthy for the boys, right? All y'all know y'all internet nephews out there, Zion and Deuce, right? I got to make sure I'm healthy for them. So I'm chugging this thing down every single day. So I will highly recommend you guys do the same thing. It's about prevention. Guys, take care of yourself, take care of each other. If you have any questions about what you should be taking, you try to take something, drop in the comments, message Dr. Teresa personally. She's always open to help everybody out. So we gotta
let them call you. Let them call you. I got too many people calling me. Let them call me.
Call me, and I'll tell you what to get. Because all the products that I tell you guys to get come from her. Okay, so call me. I'll let you know exactly what to get. Okay, I can tell you if you want to purchase them from us, I'll send you a link to go buy it. But call me, let me know, what you got going on, and we'll make the best recommendation to make sure we all stay healthy, right? That's what it's all about. So with that being said, it's been a lot of great info drop. And you guys got any questions, message me, and we're here for you, all right? So you all have a great night on purpose.
Good night.